So we're not. We are going to talk about the weekend. Uh, you've just heard the Lance Bradley interview, which was surreal, and huge thanks to Lance. It was amazing to have that sort of conversation with. Let's be fair, the godfather of the thing we support. We're just three blokes who really love the Ospreys, and we've got that. So that's amazing. If you want to hear the news, just rewind about half an hour. That is the news. There is virtually no news around the
But a
Ospreys
lot
this
of
week.
a lot of the news is that we're going to get news soon, and all of
Yeah,
that news sounds really exciting.
I just remain calm, be patient. It is coming. Trust me.
Hmm.
If you can get to the Q&A in the Ulster game on the 18th, please do. We're going to have our man on the ground there, aren't we? Iestyn, are you going to be our little mole, or are you in the prawn sandwich sheets?
No, I think if all is well, I'll be I won't be having any prawn sandwiches in the press box. So
No.
well actually I don't know what food they provide in the press box. I've never eaten there on my two visits. But
Oh,
What would
but
they serve? What would
so
they serve in the press box?
I actually
I
I actually
look,
don't know because every time I've gone in there, I've just gone in there and opened my laptop and just done a bit of preparation for the game. So I'll never know.
so I have right next to me. Speaking of press box food, right? This is these are a pack of biscuits from Wayne Pivac's last press conference as Wales coach. That was left out for Pivac and he didn't eat. And then they were just left afterwards. And I just noticed no one was looking at them. So I stole a packet of biscuits that's been sitting on my desk
so,
now.
so for our audio listeners, what biscuits are they?
So they are, good point. Walker's gluten-free pure butter chocolate chip shortbread. Honestly, they look lovely and I wish I'd eaten them. But I
See,
thought it was a fascinating thing to keep
for
hold of.
me, that sums up what Pivac did to Wales. So if Gatland's Wales team's a biscuit, right, it's a digestive or like a
Oh
rich
yeah.
tea. It has a purpose. You know what it's going to do. It doesn't disappoint you. Wayne Pivac comes in and puts all buttercream, chocolate chips. It's got all this added shit that doesn't need to be added in, and then
And they
no one
never
takes it at
leave
the
the
end.
wrapper. Yeah, they
No one
never
takes
leave
it
the
at the end.
wrapper.
And somehow Johnny Williams plays. You know, that's what happens. Josh McLeod gets a cap. Josh McLeod is in that biscuit somehow. Sorry,
There's just chunks of that's how he got injured. His knee is in that biscuit.
that's therapy for me. Why is Josh Turnbull in this? Why is he got a game against Canada? Oh.
Well,
There's an absurd stat. Not to divulge on Josh Turnbull too much. There's an absurd stat that he's got a Grand Slam for or
yeah,
at least a Six Nations Championship for every 4.5 caps.
Josh Turnbull has won. He's the only person who's won the Six Nations twice without playing a minute.
That is that is something you'd be on Rugby Connect, or that's a Sam
Yeah.
Lana. That's a Sam
Yeah.
Lana stat. Do you know what I
Sam
mean?
should be all over that.
Yeah. We're for some reason we're going off a tangent. We've got one of our best wins to talk about. So this is so Ospreys. We're not used to this shit, all right? Boys, we won in South Africa on the weekend.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I would just like to preface this. It is not our first ever win in South Africa. I mentioned this on the Rap Pod on Monday. It's our first ever win against good teams. I love you, cheaters. You gave me Daniel Kasende, right? But unfortunately, you were not a serious team. Southern Kings, you don't exist anymore.
The Southern Kings, that game was actually the first ever time Adam Beard produced a miss pass. So
Yeah.
that is that's something that we should all basically remember.
When you've got Adam Beard throwing miss passes and Dan Evans scoring hat tricks,
So the strange thing about it, Bradley Davis is out on the wing receiving that miss pass and scoring in the corner.
as he should be. I would expect nothing less. So it was our first ever win in South Africa. It's our first ever time beating the Lions. We have been agonisingly close before. Curse you, Jack Walsh, missed kicks. But I do love you.
And that that Reece Webb gave away once.
Yeah.
That was more annoying than the Walsh miss kicks.
No, yeah. I think I blocked that out of my mind. I'm still wrapping my head around this because we won in South Africa when. So let's rewind. We spent the week talking about the permutations, and we even spent the last chunk on the pod talking about, oh, well, do you know what? If we just play well and then the Dragons don't do shit, we'll get a good draw. We won't get Sharks away.
Yeah. We kind of have, I mean, this is the thing, right? I rediscovered last year during the lead up to that Leicester game, and particularly afterwards, how much I used to enjoy, which I completely forgotten, European permutations. It's been such a long time since we got out of a group. And like a pig in shit all week, bothering and irritating you both about this is who we could be playing, here's everything that's happened. Oh, well, Saracens have scored 14 points rather than 13, I guess. So this is coming here. This is going to change now. The thing we said was like, well, if we win, we get a home draw, but that's not going to happen. So let's leave it out. And then the thing is, anytime we think they're not going to find a way, Toby Booth steps up and pulls out his little notebook that says find a way. Yeah. And out of nowhere, they produce that final 10 minutes. A final 10 minutes I've already watched. I mean, how many times have we all watched that final 10 minutes back? Because I'm quite a few by now.
I will admit I have not watched the final 10 minutes back. I got the full game, and I provided you both with the full game as well. Robbie, I know you already had it. It's one of them ones. I'm still in disbelief. I couldn't watch the Leicester game back. I remember. So I remember the if you go off recently, right? The ones I've been able to watch back is the one we put 50 points in the Scarlets, because that's just a fun, unserious game that it was essentially farcical. Like Michael Collins throwing like out the back spin passes and somehow it coming off. That game was farcical. The Montpellier Christmas one out there, because again, I'm just sort of like jaw on the floor. What has just happened? And then the Leicester one. Like the Leicester one took me a good 3 weeks to watch back, because I was watched that last, let's be fair, 20 minutes. And I was just thinking, oh my God, we're going to knock it on. Somehow we're going to kick the ball back to our own goal and Joe Hayes will somehow score. So like, that's what I feel, even though that I knew that Jack Morgan went over.
I got in from Walford Road and put it straight on again and watched it through in full, first whistle to last. Having, look, you just met Iestyn, put me in the mood. Yeah, that was like, and I have watched that so many times. I watched the last 10 minutes just on YouTube, and I just watched them on, if I'm tired.
To go back to the Leicester one, it was just a constant disappointment of Austin Healey's voice every time the Ospreys scored.
See, I think that's it. Me and Iestyn didn't have that.
Yeah. If you watch it back, if you watch it back, especially that Giles score, he's a bit like, oh, shit, what do I do now? Like they're doing good. Or you've got the Michael Collins try saver tackle, and you're like, he so wants to be like, that's a penalty try. He's wrapped her. Oh no, actually, that's a really good tackle. He's got underneath him. Shit, what do I do now? That's what it felt like, and you just like by the end of it, because this was in the middle of your feud as well, if I remember right. This is where
this was the week after
he wanted to fight you.
Me out for a fight, and I was sat right behind the commentary box.
Oh, this is so to relate it back to this game.
Yeah,
it got to that 73rd minute, and we were 28-17 down, and you just like, and I even messaged you, boys, saying, "Do you know what? This is a good performance, though. I'm not unhappy with this." And I'm actually gonna. I was looking back at the conversation, and I'm going to look back at it. Where are we? So. God, it was just. Oh, this is brilliant. Go on.
After so Keelan Giles scores that, not the first try, but the third try, I guess. The try that starts it all. And I said, really stupidly, we just need to try in either direction. Either we win or we concede an extra point and we get Gloucester away rather than a trip back to South Africa. And sort of like there's a no, that tangent. I'm not going to go on a tangent. I was about to go on a very long tangent, and we've had enough of those already. And then when it turns around and Cameron Jones makes that kind of half break, one of the Cameron Joneses makes that kind of half break off the kickoff. And I just had this weird faith they were going to do it. It just felt like this game's broken up enough. And I felt like the way in which they timed and paced the breaking out and breaking into that style of rugby was brilliant. That game always felt really open, but we didn't get many chances to do anything with that. And then in that final quarter, when Jack Walsh came on, and the moment they started to get ball and they started to play a bit more, it was phenomenal. And you had, Dan Edwards did a really good job of kind of managing and controlling that game a bit during the first hour. Jack Walsh comes on and gets to do the thing that he does, which is running a lot, making a lot of half breaks, throwing speculative offloads that Adam Beard can't get low enough to pick it out because, it was like at human head height, and creating everything that goes on there. It was a brilliant kind of team performance of kids who didn't know they weren't allowed to do this and weren't supposed to do this and should be afraid to do this, doing it. It was incredible.
So, for context, I sent a message to our group chat at 14:37, which was about 3 or 4 minutes before Keelan Giles scored his try, saying, "Thing is, this isn't a bad performance. It's exactly what you'd expect from some 12-year-olds," because that's what it was. And we were like, "Yeah, it's just discipline and red zone." You were saying, "Oh yeah, this could give us Gloucester away. This is great." 4 minutes later, you just get all cap messages saying, you start with the Keelan Giles try, which we were like, "Woo, yeah, we scored. We're making a game of it." And then Iestyn goes, "Cameron Jones is on." No, not that one, which is our silly little joke. And then literally 2 minutes later, it's, "Oh my God, Cameron Jones. We've just scored this outstanding try." And it was a really nice half break. We played that bit wider, which is what we've been doing Dan Edwards, just not with the same effect. Cameron Jones hits this really nice, weak shoulder, goes around the hooker, and then has the wherewithal to give a really good pass to Owen Watkin, who had a stormer.
I think some of that
Cameron Jones goes over.
The benefit of having kids in, right? Because
yes, absolutely.
Cameron Jones, this is like that was like his third touch of professional rugby. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know he's not supposed to try and take the South African hooker, who's a, kind of grizzled professional. He doesn't know he's not supposed to try and take him on the outside. He's been kind of in this environment expected to play for a few days after the injury crisis. He is coming on and playing his first game. He's given a chance and he goes for it because that kind of thing works at a low level when you're the biggest kid, right? And he goes for that, knowing, and it comes off against that size of pack in that kind of environment. It's amazing. And it, again, goes to the kind of value of everything that Bruce's been doing, bringing through these kids. And Owen Watkins' touch as well, fantastic in just coming in, slotting in, delivering the pass really crisply. Just phenomenal. And as you say, there's then kind of awareness to draw and get back to Watkins.
And then Iestyn, what happened to you in the last 10 minutes?
Right, so there's about 3.5 minutes to go. Cam Jones has just made a break for Cam Jones to score a try. And then you're thinking, right, just don't give the ball away and make sure everything goes to plan. Just do what the Ospreys don't do and close out the game. And Cam Jones does a very good job of that, as in the scrum half who exits for touch and does a really good touch finder. And they play phases, and I'm thinking, right, they're keeping this tight. It's not that bad. There's no offload going in here and there, but the defence is coping. And then one phase that there's an offload that goes in and the Lions go out wide. And I'm thinking, oh, right, but there's enough, there's enough protection there. Giles makes a really good defensive read, he does slip off a tackle, but it's all covered up. Owen Watkin makes a brilliant counter-ruck and disrupts everything. And then my TV thinks it's a really funny idea that they lost connection to the satellite signal. And next thing I know is I'm frantically trying to make sure to get my TV back in working order. Well, in some sort of working order. It was messing up for the rest of the evening. And so I was trying to get my TV up in working order. And then my phone goes rather ballistic in many ways. And it turns out, from what I didn't see, was a 50-meter intercept from a 19-year-old Morgan Morse.
Are
who was
you? But
celebrating his
let's
birthday
say
in
your
Africa.
mate Morgan Morse. But yeah, your friend, like your actual real life friend Morgan Morse. You
Yeah,
couldn't be bothered to watch his
someone who
try.
I can comfortably message after the game and get a reply, which is very rare when I'm watching any sort of rugby match. But yeah, and I was, and one part of me was absolutely delighted because a win out in South Africa, a home draw. What more do you want? And the slight inkling of me was absolutely devastated because I missed out on the intercept, which was brilliant. The His dive, which was, I think, a couple of boys that I know were debating it and calling it a bit questionable. But I think that'll be up for debate. And then all the celebrations that were going around down at the touchline, where you see like Luke Morgan, who's a travelling reserve, just jumping up and down like a wild thing. George North with one arm just high-fiving people. So on one hand, it was brilliant, but I couldn't watch the last 2.5 minutes, which was bitterly disappointing.
What was great about it was, so he made the interception try, he scored it, but I loved every time they panned to the Ospreys sidelines because it just looked like some sort of Neath and Swansea boys who'd gone out for a lads' holiday. Because rather than wearing like their normal kit, they're all in vests. And I'm really surprised that Luke Davis wasn't like tops off with a beer. Because that would be what Luke Davis would do. Like chucking a beer up in the air, or like, Reece Henry's got like a wet towel on his head and he's just tops off like he's a dad at like an all-inclusive a holiday he's taking his kids to. It was just that he scored that try, and Robbie and I are like, we've lost our voice. I am delirious.
I was hoarse for like 2 days.
I don't remember the 73 minutes that preceded that match, like the bits before. Like, so I get a message at the start after Owen Watkins scores his first try from, and I will call him out because it's playful banter from Hugh Griffin, who has this theory that Ospreys score tries by accident. And I was like, okay, and then I messaged him at the end in all caps. I said, "Does that one count?" We didn't get a reply. But it was just the permutation, just everything that led up to that game, the context of it. We messaged in the week saying, who have we actually taken out, like, to South Africa? Like, genuinely know who have, like, we were counting Instagram stories just to see if we took 28 players out. That's dangerous. And we came out with virtually no injuries. And we won. And I'm not asked about the stats either. Like, I'm normally like first one to go and watch the stats and be like, what was our scrum percent? What was our line out? What was our defense? I don't care. All that matters is we won 28-38 out in South Africa. And don't give me this, they're the Dragons of South Africa or whatever. They're not. They're a bloody good team. Right? There are some. The Lions, you've got to remember, have been the where South African stars come from when they go to the biggest South African teams.
And there was a piece on, I think it was SA Rugby Blog or one of the South African rugby websites, like a month ago, saying we need to admit the Lions are our best and the most exciting team, and because they were the ones overperforming when the Sharks were underwhelming, and obviously the Bulls and Stormers have pulled it back since they got the box back. But like, this is a good team, and these are really difficult conditions. This is one of the most difficult places in the world to go. They have a brilliant home record. I don't think they've lost to a non-South African team since they joined the URC at home. I probably am wrong on that, but I believe they've got an amazing record at home. I know because I did this show with Stephen Gazy, the South African comedian, last year and the year before, and he was always very up on their record at home. And to go away and in that fashion, in that style, as you say, nothing else really matters. It's the most find a way win ever imaginable. you kind of, it's the sort of game where you can't really analyze it. You just need to be superlative about how great it was, what it meant, how it felt. We all went in figuring this was a lost cause. This was a game, it was going to like a fun little like goodbye to this nightmare 13-week block that Toby Bruce mentioned endless times. It was the most difficult block of games he's experienced as a coach, and right from his days coaching university rugby with your boss, and to come to the end of that block and pull off that win in that style with that team, which, as you said, during the week we weren't sure we'd get 23 players out, just up there with the best Ospreys wins that I have ever experienced.
Iestyn, is that the best win for the Ospreys, full stop, or recently?
It's up there, isn't it? And I was speaking to someone, and there's a bit of chatter about it on, some Facebook was saying, what's the most impressive performance of the depleted side? I think comparing that performance with the one against Leinster in 2021, and you're thinking there's a lot of things that are quite similar there in those two games. A charge down try. Who doesn't love them? And I think it's definitely up there. I can't really rank them all at the moment because I still think the away game in Montpellier is somewhere in the mix. But I also think the home game was brilliant as well in terms of the actual standard of the rugby and the performance that the Ospreys had to put in.
No, because that game included Carl Dixon, and that's never in my.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's never in my top games.
Might be removed, or maybe down the pecking order a little bit. Then obviously you've got games against Leicester. The recent example of last year when I spent the rest of the weekend working out European permutations.
Yes.
Thinking, don't send us to Durban. Might be a small chance of Edinburgh. Saracens okay, but we might lose. And then Edinburgh do whatever Edinburgh do and kick the ball out.
That was hilarious. That was brilliant. I watched that and thinking, you thick fuck. What do you do?
I couldn't watch the game live, and I was keeping updated on my phone, scrolling through Twitter, and all they just see was everyone erupting laughter, thinking, what's he doing? Why does he kick that ball out? But I think that Lions win is certainly up there. And I think the Toby Booth era is probably, I'd rank it top in terms of the circumstances that went on, the mental 13-week block that we all know about now. And yeah, in terms of all time, I still think Leinster 2012 probably just about edges it.
Yeah, nothing will ever beat Leinster 2012.
The crazy thing is, right, if this win happened this time last year, we'd be saying it's our best win in a decade. Now there's argument where is it top 3 from the last year? Because I think there's 2 Montpellier games and Leicester away for me. I have special circumstances around Leicester away, having grown up in the East Midlands as an Ospreys fan during the era where they played each other constantly. I'd been to Walford Road like a dozen times and only ever seen them lose, sometimes by 40 points in preseason friendlies. So that game has bonus points for me. That was like us beating the Scarlets for the first time ever, but for in my local neck of the woods. But yeah, you have the Leicester away, you have the 2 Montpellier games, and then now you have this. Just like we do the God bless you Toby Booth chat every week, but the way they fight for each other, the way they feel like a team, the way that you can drop these kids in, these actual proper children in, and like people born in like after the Nintendo DS came out, and they're now playing for the Ospreys and beating South African teams away from home. It's just like properly amazing as a thing to witness. And you can do all the analysis you want. I think Owen Watkin was absolutely phenomenal. I think him and Harry Deeves were like some distance ahead of the pack on like the man of the match standings. You kind of had those two, and then you had then you had people called Cameron Jones across the board, including some just watching in pubs, and then you had everyone else. But it's kind of letting daylight into magic to try and analyze it, because you're just like, well, no, I loved it. I loved not every second of it. I loved every second of the last 7 minutes.
Yeah, that 13-week block, you just like what has just happened. Like, what has, so let's have a look at that 13-week block, right? I don't think there's much more to talk about the game. Lions' discipline was awful. PJ Boat has been cited. I'm not sure if he's been banned. He's definitely been cited for what I assume is the elbow to Harry Deeves, which, again, is the second time it's happened this season to Harry Deeves. I'm starting to think it's personal.
It might just be the colour of his cap. Maybe just everyone just doesn't like the colour yellow.
Yeah.
They want him to be blind so he can fit on with his nan.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 13-week block then. So you can probably include pre-season in that as well. So going into pre-season, I was very skeptical. So I was like, what are we going to do? We're living in a post-Alman Jones world. How do we come back from this? I was really gutted about losing Mikey Collins. Shout out Michael Collins, one of the best imports we've had in years. We were sort of at a lull. The Judgment Day game sort of had everyone a bit of a sour taste in everyone's mouth because Cardiff were unbearable. So I was a bit like, And then you have that first. So you have the Dragons game and the Cardiff game, and both the Dragons game, sort of how every game at Rodney Parade goes for us, awful. And you're thinking, Dan Edwards didn't play well. Ooh, is this an omen? Then we go to the Liberty, we play Cardiff. It was sort of like a bit farcical, Then the season starts. So what were your thoughts going in? You saw his 13-week block. What are your thoughts going into the season, boys? What's your aspirations?
I just hope that we manage to just, play every game. If we could sneak a win here and there, maybe match, some games that they might have, maybe might have lost narrowly last season, maybe fixed them. It'd have been, maybe a bit of a successful season. I always thought with the budget cuts and everything, probably one of the biggest things that I pointed out was probably winning at Parc y Scarlets, because obviously, it hadn't been done for such a long time from an Ospreys perspective, since 2015. And you thought, everyone's kind of on the same playing level with the budget cuts, squads are a bit tight. And you still thought, if you had your first 15 out, that pack is still quite strong. The backs look quite tidy. And you thought, there's a real good chance there that we could, end that duck. And then obviously, I think I was working at Pontypool against Pontypridd in the Welsh Prem with my laptop not really working.
The Affinity Derby.
My laptop not really working on S4C Click, seeing Keelan Williams drop the ball at the first touch of the season.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And you're thinking, right, this is going to be interesting because it was so the screen quality of my laptop was that bad that day because of signal. I thought he just caught the ball and kicked it out, and then it eventually reloads and refreshes up, and I see it's like 7-0 to Connor. I thought he just kicked the ball out. How have they scored so quickly? And then obviously you see at half time and you're thinking, this could be a long, long season. But then I think what summed it up for me was that second half performance in Galway.
Yeah.
It might have not been the result they were looking for, but the amount of positive shoots that came out of that game kind of spurred it on for the rest of the season. Then you have the Zebra game, which was like the Lorenzo Pani and co show, which was brilliant. I really enjoyed that game. And then it just kind of built on from there in a way, with the odd blip like we've seen against Glasgow Dragons and Benetton. But on the whole, I feel it's been really positive. And I certainly didn't expect it to be this positive at this point of the season.
No, yeah. I mean, speaking of 13-week blocks, I was coming towards the end of an 11-week block in France for the World Cup, where I lost my mind about 16 times. Because it turns out, right, obviously amazing to be over there, amazing everything, 11 weeks is too long to go away from home for one solid block. And so, yeah, I was like penultimate week of that when the season started again. And I went for a walk around Paris before that Connacht game because I'd listened all week to the Toby press conference. Very excited to have him back. And the Scrum 5 pod I listened to, and, any other sources of kind of Ospreys stuff around there. And everyone was talking about the challenges of the budget and the squad size and the fact that realistically we can't expect anything here. And you looked at the previous season and you looked at the names that are left. And I went for a walk where I had to kind of walk around this neighborhood of Paris and convince myself and kind of tell myself that really, with where they're standing, if you compare the relative budgets of all the clubs in the URC, of the Ospreys against that, resources, etc. Even the other Welsh clubs have got more established internationals across the board, kind of better backings and what have you. Every position we finish off the bottom is an achievement in itself, and you kind of need to look at it as that. And the real challenge is the derbies, and really you want to be building towards the derbies. And how you do in those is the season, and everything else is kind of its own like Everest that you kind of watch these young kids climb and see how close they get, and just kind of take whatever you have out of that. Because the previous seasons under Toby Booth, they've really fought and scrapped for everything, and I knew we could kind of take that for granted that they will fight and they'll be worth watching for that. I wasn't really expecting anything more than, I kind of convinced myself, right, we'll win maybe like 3 or 4 games this year.
Yeah,
and
that's the number I had in my head.
Yeah, like probably all derbies, and maybe that Zebra game at the start of the season at home. And then for it to, as you said, that halftime turnaround in Connacht that kind of gave you the belief. And then it just kept rolling from there. The Sharks game was fantastic out in London. And by that point, I got back and ran over to London to see it. And then the Glasgow game was agonizing, obviously, late on, but I think also showed that they can compete with the very best in the league. And yeah, you have the Dragons game. It's kind of Dragons and Montpellier, kind of the only 2 blips where the standards dropped. Like even that Benetton game, it was that group of kids that eventually go away and beat the Lions on the whole.
Yeah.
Very similar teams. That was their kind of first hit out together, and a lot of them playing their first start. And they built from there into something that's really special. This is a season I think we'll remember for a long time, no matter how the second half of it goes.
Yeah, I just think that, and there's been a lot said this week about our we're probably underperforming because of who we've got on our team sheet. That's with probably the exception of the Dragons, and this is no way to disparage the Dragons. If you look across the team sheets or squads in general, why aren't Cardiff or Scarlets competing? Scarlets, if you put their best backline out, or even their most experienced backline out, that could compete with anyone in the league. That's a full Welsh backline. Yes, Ospreys have got a great pack, but as we've explained this week, they're all 90% of them are homegrown. Most of them weren't internationals when Toby Booth came in. And also, they've all, Adam Beard was dropped very early on into the Toby Booth era. Jack Morgan was dropped for some reason. Derry Lake has come under so much scrutiny. Rhys Davis has not been given a fair shot. Sam Parry got given a shot, did very well, and has performed consistently since. Hasn't been given a shot since. Gareth Thomas, Nicky Smith, prime example of what more can that man do. If he was Scottish, I think Scotland he'd be under cap international for Scotland by now. Nicky McSmith. Who else? I don't think off the top of my head. Morgan Morris hasn't been given a shot, but most consistent performer, homegrown. If you look past the Welsh stats thing, it's a homegrown squad. What more do you want? We field a high yield of Welsh qualified players, whatever. I don't think we're underperforming or where we should be. I think generally we are exceeding expectations in the context of where Welsh rugby is. And it's okay. It's okay to celebrate that Wales Online, but don't set us up for fucking failure. The doing the double over the Scarlets is something that we've had so many big moments this season. I think we forget we did the double. and we won in Parker Scarlet in quite convincing fashion, and it was quite funny because obviously Scarlets are a bit rubbish at the minute, and it is quite sad. But we still did the double, and I was like you, Robbie. I was like, do you know what? Come out this with 3 or 4 wins, sneak a win in Europe. At least be competitive in Europe. Maybe we sneak a win at home against Perpignan, who'll send the Espoirs over, and then we'll push Benetton, far. I wasn't expecting 8 out of 13. And with the backdrop of, and again, this is not me disparaging Cardiff because they can't control what the media say about it, is when you've got the media spin of Cardiff being the darlings of Welsh rugby at the minute because, they throw some passes and, they play sexy rugby. They still only won 3 games, 2 of them. What was it? The Dragons. Was it the Dragons twice? Dragons once? Yeah,
Dragons.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Dragons were 2 of them, and the other one was a Stormers win, which is very good, but the Stormers played awful. So and it's not to disparage Cardiff; they can't control what the media says, but we've definitely flown under the radar until now, where they're like, "Oh shit, they've actually won 8 out of 13." The same as Edinburgh and Glasgow, who are regarded as high flyers in the league. So, look, we're doing very well. We're in a position now where injuries are starting to come back. I think we're up to 50 players used now.
Wow.
We were on 45 very recently.
We were second to Leinster the other week.
We were second to Leinster's crotchless, AI-generated humans. And speaking of AI, I have to share this. I was watching the regional age grade, the Dragons versus Scarlets. Scarlets won 62-7, by the way. They look very good this season. The Dragons have a player called Buster Bodkin. I'm sorry. That is the most AI-generated person I've ever met. Buster Bodkin is an MLR stalwart that plays for the Free Jacks, or not even like the Free Jacks. He plays for Houston Sabercats.
No, he's like an alternate ego to Mr. Tumble. Like he's a children's TV character. Buster Bodkin.
Do you want to play another game of Good Player?
Oh, always.
Because speaking of the Leicester one, has got me thinking. Right, let's do the EDF final squads.
Oh, which year?
2008.
The year we lost.
Okay. The one we won. I'm not going back. So. First off, do you remember the referee that day?
Would it be Barnes? Chris White.
Not Barnes. No, because it couldn't have been an Englishman.
Would it have been an Irishman and Alan Roland, everyone's favorite?
It was Alan Roland.
Oh!
It was La Irishman. So
the semi-final before this was my first Ospreys game I attended. So what a lovely story.
Attendance that day. It must have been held at Sardis Row because the attendance was 65,000. So the attendance at Sardis Row was 65,000. So I'll start with the Leicester team, and if you ask me to say a Leicester, this is the Leicester team, like one of the Leicester teams.
Anthony Allen playing.
So at fullback was Geordie Murphy.
Yes,
good player,
vintage.
Ollie Smith.
Oh, solid
player. Lions bolter. Dan Hipkiss.
Hipkiss, scourge of the Ospreys for a brief period.
Aaron Major, good player.
Dropped the pass in that game in the Liberty where Tommy Bowe scored.
He did.
Would have scored, dropped a ball, his toes, Ben Youngs threw at him. Uncapped at the time, Ben Youngs.
A certain Mr. Henry Tuolagi. Good player.
I've got a Henry Tuolagi story, but that's for another day.
The scourge of Shane Hogan's dreams, that man.
And
Andy
mine.
Good.
Oh boy. Oh.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Right. I'm gonna say good player. Awful human.
Fair.
I assume this is Andy Ellis at scrum half. Good player.
Yeah. Lion. Harry Ellis.
Yeah. Harry Ellis, not Andy Ellis.
Harry Ellis.
Andy Ellis is a different player.
Andy Ellis was a Kiwi scrum half.
Andy Ellis. I'm thinking of MLR. Andy Ellis,
Yeah,
winner of
yeah.
the win.
Harry Ellis got on the 2009 Lions tour and then got
Harry
injured
Ellis
before the first game.
retired far too
No,
early.
he did. No, he went. He did go. No, so he did
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
Yeah, it was Thomas
He
O'Leary got injured.
but
before
he
the first game.
retired far too early.
Yeah, yeah. I did the
Boris-
Leicester podcast before the
Did you?
the thing the other week, the game last year, or year before, last year, and they said Harry Ellis. Everyone talked about him. Says the hardest scrum half you'll ever meet, like impossibly
Yeah.
tough guy. Would just pick fights for forwards for no reason, like on his own team in training sessions. He was like the only scrum half welcome in the ABC club, as they call it up in Leicester. They're kind of like club for the hardest players.
So then you go into forwards. Boris Stankovic.
Oh, yes, good player.
Good player. George Shooter, I believe this is.
Good player. Good player,
Good
George Shooter.
player.
Yeah.
Martin Castro Giovanni.
Oh, hero.
Good player. Then you get into like Louis Deacon. Good player.
Good player.
Martin Ben Kay.
Good player.
Good player.
Also drops pass.
Also
line.
Good pundit. I like Ben Kay.
Yeah.
Martin Corrie.
Good player.
105-year-old Martin Corrie. Angling for a Lions tour, no doubt. Herring. Not that. I can't remember Herring. Richard Herring, maybe.
That sounds.
And then a young Jordan Crane.
No, Richard Herring's the comedian.
Richard Herring is the comedian. Yeah.
Maybe it was
Could
him.
be. Right, we'll say it's
Doing
Richard
your
Herring, the
podcast
comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuart Lee came on for him in the second half.
On the bench, you had a young Tom Van Dell.
Ooh.
Soon to be a Scarlet. Julian White was still knocking around.
Mm.
Young Tom Croft, who'd clearly come back from injury, was trying to get onto a Lions tour. Benjamin Kaiser. And not used, weirdly, was Richard Blaze and Sam Veston.
Oh.
Good players.
Good player.
But never. Then we go into the Magners League dominators. Okay, so right, I'll start with the backs. Lee Byrne.
Good player.
One of my favorite players growing up, actually, Lee Byrne.
Johnny Vorton.
Oh, remember Johnny Vorton? A man who he built a career out of the fact he was faster than Shane Williams. And that was the only thing anyone ever said about him. Like, oh, he's faster than Shane Williams.
A player. Sonny Parker.
Good player.
Probably was after this was his downfall. I think after this was he was on his way out. Young Andrew Bishop. Good
player, man.
Yeah.
Miss Bish.
So good. He's probably just tackled me now. Just
yeah.
If you say his name 3 times in the mirror, he tackles you.
Solid, defensively solid, chin strap. What more can you want?
Shane Williams. Good player. James Hook.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
A player. No, this was good James Hook.
This was good James Hook. This was peak James Hook.
Peak of his powers. Justin Marshall.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Great player.
Yes.
Bumfer. Paul James. Good player.
Great player.
Vastly underrated, I think.
Yeah.
Especially in an Ospreys shirt. Richard Hibbard. Young Richard Hibbard, this would have been.
Very young Richard Hibbard.
He went on the Wales tour to South Africa, I believe, this year.
Yeah.
And immediately got into a fight. If I remember rightly. Adam Jones.
Was this the period where Richard Hibbard was sneaking off and playing rugby league on the side?
Yes. So I know the story of this, right? So he was playing for Aberafan Fighting Irish, right, under a fake name. But a fake name that was so obvious that I think they just let him do it.
Hitchard Ribbard.
I genuinely think it was something like that. It was Hitchard, and it's not like Richard Hibbard is a man you can't spot. It's not like if you told me that Finn Smith was going to go play rugby league, you had to tell me to pick him out of a lineup. I could not tell you what Finn Smith looks like, right? But if you told me to pick Richard Hibbard, like a young Richard Hibbard, out of a lineup, right, I'd be able to. No offense, Richard, I love you, You know, Adam Jones, good player.
Yeah.
Was this?
Yeah, it's all
No,
right.
this wasn't corn. This was cornrows. Adam Jones, 2008.
Oh yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was racially ambiguous. Adam Jones. A young man called Wyn Jones, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah. So Wyn Jones, a Scarlet's prop. Good
whatever
player.
came of him.
Yeah. Ian Evans, my
Good
favorite
player.
lock.
Good player.
2013 Ian Evans is one of the best, most underrated second rows ever. Who else have we got? Evans? No, we just done Evans. Ryan Jones.
Oh man,
Peak Ryan
childhood
Jones.
hero. Yeah.
Hair sticking up the scrum cap.
Hmm.
Oh. Marty Holler.
Yes.
Brilliant player.
And then my favourite player of all time, well, one probably is Philo Tiatia.
Oh.
The first man
Why?
I ever followed on LinkedIn was Philo Tiatia. I'm not even joking.
Just why isn't Philo Tia coming up every week?
Good player.
I remember him being referred to as capital T, capital L, the legend around like Ospreys fan site stuff back in the day. He was just such a great hard-nosed Kiwi bastard. The sort we just don't get anymore.
It's the
Not
fact
over
that
here,
he was about 53 when he signed for us.
Mm.
And you're just like, do you know what? Fair enough. On the bench,
I think
Iestyn,
he was linked with the Ospreys job once. It was it was either the global search to bring in the best head coach ever, or was it after Alan Clark was dismissed?
No, I think it was the global search because I think that's what people were like. Surely they're talking about Tia, right?
Yeah,
like,
because
surely
everyone jumped
to
conclusion after Tandy thinking, "Oh, Tia is the man for the job." You know, that's it, done deal.
Because he was coaching the Hurricanes at that point, or he was in the Hurricanes.
Yeah,
it was the Sunwolves.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So on the bench, then you had a Brew. I don't know which one it was. Probably Alid.
The Owl. Yeah.
It would have been Alid. He came on for Johnny Vorton at 78 minutes.
Ooh.
Bit of a waste. Like, no offense, I'm starting Brew over Vorton.
Vorton, no clue, said no one ever.
Jonathan Spratt, the 6 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. The most average player to ever exist. Man, my big
man that
epitomised
the possibles versus probables game. Which, right, by the way, I was reminded of this because I've got the program like somewhere in my next room of that game. We are going over that game soon because that game was a fever dream, right? That was the best game I think I've ever watched.
This episode started as the most professional we've ever been, and descended into the most in a pub we've ever been.
Well, we've got no rugby to talk about next week.
Yeah.
So Owen for Hook. So who would that be? Is that Gareth Owen?
Gareth Owen.
No,
the other Gareth, because Gareth Owen now is Gareth Owen because there's a player Gareth Owen at the time who was
Gareth Owen,
primarily a fullback, played 10 a bit, then moved into the centre when he went to Leicester.
Duncan Jones.
Oh yes,
the Mohawk.
The Mohawk, yes, of course, yeah. Duncan shaved off his hair. He looked good. Weirdly, Paul James played 73 minutes this game.
Wow.
Hugh Bennett came on. Good player.
Good player. Yeah, by the end of his, one of those players who had the best form of his career right before he retired.
Yes, Ian Goff.
Good.
This was pre-Gatland. So you wouldn't have had. This is where he was about to get his Wales resurgence, where Gatland basically said, "Your job is to hit rucks and do nothing else." And he was amazing. And then, of course, Jonathan Thomas.
Oh, standard, yeah. It was an Ospreys team from that era, playing every single position.
Possibly one of the best teams from that era. Because who else was playing in that era that wouldn't have been playing that game? Henson would have gone, wouldn't he? No, Henson was still there.
Yeah,
who else could have gone? Henson would have come into that team.
So
Probably for not for Jonathan Spratt, but
Nicky Walker missing.
Nicky Walker. Yeah, he was trending along somewhere.
Tommy Bowe signed the following season, I think.
Tommy Bowe did, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the best, probably the best team we could have put out because that was pre. That was only for 6 subs. That was pre 7 subs, wasn't it? So I think this should be our little thing now where we do good player every week and we go through a random Ospreys game.
I think we need some interaction on social media. Just people just chuck random Ospreys games from nowhere.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, find us the most obscure Ospreys games from regionalisation and we'll play good player.
It could even be a time from when Tom Haberfield scored a brace like against Northampton or
the ones I'm thinking of are that Northampton game where Hanno Dirksen puts George North on his ass, if you remember that. That's a really data video. And I always remember it because I know Jamal Ford so well, and there's a bit where Dan Evans just skins him. The other one I'm thinking of is the Ospreys Exeter game, the Josh Matavesi interception try, the slowest interception try that's ever existed. What else am I thinking? See, we could be really obvious and do the Leinster final, which I think would be a good one to revisit.
That's like an end of season treat for us.
We could do the Leinster Josh Thomas game.
Yes,
that would be a great one to do because it would just be like Josh Thomas, best player to ever have existed in the history of the Ospreys, and I love him dearly. And then Sam Cross. Sam Cross, good at opening Aldi's.
Great at opening Aldi's. So good at it. He opened the Aldi near me right after I moved. I was gutted.
That's such a Welsh rugby thing. But it was an Olympic thing because they clearly signed this Olympic contract, and then Sam Cross is clearly but shit. I've got to open 12 Aldi's around the whole of the UK. Why can't they all be in Trimsaran or?
Do you think that's why he's gone to Newcastle so he can open Aldi's in the northeast?
Yeah. Do you think it's he's got up as a regional manager? He's not actually playing rugby. He's an Aldi regional manager. I love Tom. He will always be remembered for weirdly winning the Wales Cup against New Zealand and the gas and air clip at Sale where he's got the whistle. So absolutely.
One game against Saracens that got him in the Welsh squad, and is still the thing
which he wasn't
about.
supposed to play.
Yeah, he came in, ended up playing 10 minutes on the wing, and they were like, "We need that lad."
There's
in
a
the
bit
squad.
because he does the Iestyn Roots thing where he hits Farrell 3 times, and there's a bit where he rubs Farrell's face in the ground in the 4G, and Farrell gets up and starts squaring up to him, and you're like, "Oh my god, you are everything I've been looking for since since Jerry Collins left." So yeah, I think definitely I think good players should be our new thing because these are great fun. The Gloucester one was a fantastic one last week. That was a really good one. Gents, any other business before we?
Well, it's funny you should ask. The Department Q franchise, all of them are on Viaplay. I've only seen the first one, The Keeper of Lost Causes, which came out in 2013. And this has become Sweden's biggest film franchise now. They're about 2 detectives who go back through the archives and solve unsolved cases.
What's it called?
The Department Q franchise, Sweden's biggest film franchise. All of them are on Viaplay seemingly. I think there's 6 of them. I've seen the first one, and I remember thinking, that's all right. And then it kind of sets up for a franchise. I'm like, yeah, fine, I'll watch more of those. I haven't. So yeah, they're all on there. I'm running out of films on Viaplay that I've seen. I didn't expect to be on this podcast this often. I think when I started this as a bit,
you're essentially I remember getting the message from Iestyn because obviously I joined this in the second episode. That Iestyn was like, "Oh well, Robbie might come on semi-regularly if he has time." And every time I messaged, you're like, "Yeah, I've just sort of made time, and now I'm just here, and we love you for it." We're just
the thing is, I don't. The only person I get to talk rugby with regularly is my brother, right? And he isn't he just sort of generically supports the regions, and I hardline
He
pick
supports
the
Long Eaton, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. But like I've watched like Osprey Scarlets games with him where he's supporting the Scarlets, and then people throw him in whenever the Ospreys win. It's like, oh, you must be delighted by association with me. And I'm like, no, he doesn't get this. He doesn't. He isn't allowed this. I'm not having it.
He doesn't know what Johnny Vorton is.
Yeah, Will
He
can't
can't.
find a way. He can't find a way.
He
That's it.
can't find a way.
He can't play good player with us. Like,
So I'm just delighted to talk about the Ospreys for like an hour or 4 every evening as it ends up being.
but
once a week.
Department Q, by the way, has 7.2 on IMDb.
Mm.
This might be my watch tonight.
Yeah, they are like very I mean, as I said, I've only seen the first one. Very solid, like just crime thriller movies. Yeah, Keeper of Lost Causes is the first one, and
yes, that's what I'm looking at.
Thought it was solid, and then they kept making them, but they weren't putting them in cinemas over here. I think they were going straight to
So when the URC moves back to Premier Sports, do Premier Sports have like weird Nordic stuff as well?
I don't think they do, but I hope so. I hope they add it, because I'm not recommending a football documentary that I've seen.
I was going to say, our USP is going to be like down the pan.
What happens then? What happens then?
Speaking of rugby-related media, have you watched Full Contact yet, boys?
Not yet.
That's my job. That's what I'm going to be doing after this. I'm sort of hesitant to watch it because it's not what I want to see. Like, I genuinely want to see like the weird players. Like, give me an hour on Jonathan Spratt and what he's doing there. That's what I want to see. No, I love Ellis Gaines, but his story has been done to death. Like the ones I'm interested in looking at are like Seb Negri. Like that's a genuinely interesting story.
Yeah,
but it also gives me like the little tidbits of like the pre Scrum 5 interviews that like Sarah Elgin or like Catching Hellers would do, where they take like Morgan Morris on a Christmas tree farm. That's what I want to see. Like Kieran Williams and Scott Gibbs, like comparing biceps in Nice Rugby Club. That's what I want to see, not Louis Rees-Zammit walking around Llandaff. What I'm saying is, if there's anyone out there who wants to make alternative rugby media, and I'm not talking about like deeply right wing rugby media, like proper alternative rugby media.
I mean, I'm giving it a go.
Well, you're not following Reece.
No, I know what you
in
mean.
a shopping
centre.
That's what I want to see.
I'm not filming
it. Yeah, like I once met Dimitri Arhip in the club shop where he was sending like kit back to Moldova, and I'm like, that's what the documentary I want to see is Dimitri Arhip just going about his day, and he just like walking through like town and seeing like what would Dimitri Arhip do if he had to go into the works. Like something like that. How would Dimitri Arhip react to going into the works? Like this is what we need to see on rugby media. Is like, especially like the import players, like Jack Walsh. What can we send Jack Walsh to?
What was Jack Walsh's reaction to the pitch in Bridgend?
Yeah,
it's like a behind the scenes.
Well, like we send Jack Walsh to like a Love Spoon factory and see what he says. Like, this is what we need to do.
Send him to like one of those quite depressing cafes on Swansea Beach.
Oh,
and just have him compare all of that experience to what he grew up with.
We can send like Will Hickey to, I don't know. Where can we send Will Hickey? That would be Will Hickey and his Sam Davis lookalike friend on like a buddy cop series that they did. Yeah. See, I'm listing off literal gold here.
I think so.
I think so. I think this is what we should have asked Lance. Never mind about where we're moving stadiums. Can I get a camera on Dimitri Arhip going to the works?
Can we bring back Tyler Ardron and Jeff Hassler, not to play rugby, but just to send them around the CEX in Swansea?
Oh, yes.
I want to know what they're drawn to.
Yeah. You put a secret camera and then they're like whatever they're drawn to. I feel like Jeff Hassler would go straight for like he's going for like the PS5 games where like Ardron's
yeah,
going
yeah.
like Ardron's going over to like the 50p world film section, and he's picking
Tyler,
out like Department Q, the City of Lost Kingdom.
Tyler Ardron does have the energy of someone that still only uses physical media.
Yes, he's hanging on to his Blu-ray collection like by
Yeah.
a thread.
He will glance as he wouldn't be alone in doing this. He'll glance behind the glass cabinets at like the old Game Boy Colors and just look up longingly, thinking maybe one day I'll bring up the courage to ask for one.
He's got into the same CEX in or their equivalent in cast, and he's looked at a sealed copy of James Pond on the Game Boy, and he's like, one day that will be mine because I'll have the courage to get it. That's what he's doing. And I feel like when he went to New Zealand, he was introduced to a collector, and that started his love again, and he got thrust away too quickly. Oh my god, we could write a novella.
Does Tyler Ardron own an analog pocket? Is what we're asking.
I feel like Jeff Haslett would like look at the Tamagotchi and I would be confuddled. I'd be like, "What is this?" I feel like I need to have one. Oh, this is brilliant. I'm going to be thinking of these all night.
Jeff Haslett is a trade in the previous year's FIFA kind of guy in CEX.
Yes.
Where Tyler Ardron is a go around and look for like treasure trove bits that you might not expect to find kind of guy. We had the CEO of the Ospreys on like an hour ago.
Yeah. Tyler Ardron has gone and bought season 3 of Gilmore Girls. Yeah. That's what he's not the box set. He's got the rest. He's just like, do you know what? I've really liked the box set of season 3 of Gilmore Girls. I'm gonna buy season 3. Like that's the type of energy I get from him.
It just lies on his coffee table for months. He doesn't properly stack it away on the shelf.
I feel like he would have been the worst person in the clubhouse to talk to. He's like, Lorelei, man. Like, he's going off like some deep rants about like the motivations of characters in Sex and the City and Gilmore Girls. This is why I feel like, if Ospreys players went to CEX, what would they be drawn to? Right, and that's my new thread for this week. There's no rugby on. I am going to do a thread of
question for next week.
Players went to CEX. That's going to be the thread, what they're drawn to. Right, we need to bring this episode to a close because, as Robbie said, we literally had the CEO on talking about really serious topics, and now we've played good player, and now we've gone off on a tangent again. Harley Worthy is going to message me saying, "What have you done? You've done it again." Because he messaged me the other week when we did when I made my comments about we had. Gloucester didn't have a pot to piss in, and then they ended with a pot to piss in that had Adam Hastings in it. He was like, I can't get this image out of my head now. So yeah, right. Huge thank you for the support you've been giving us. The numbers are just blowing up my mind every week, as do the boys as well. You know, our little community, our little pocket. Huge thank you to everyone who supports us on Twitter. Obviously, this weekend was huge for us in terms of having Lance on, but the win at South Africa as well. You know, it's starting to pick up traction with the players as well. They're liking the post, getting involved. Yeah, brilliant. You can find the boys on their regular socials. Iestyn _ Thomas21, Robbie at Squiz Rugby. Good NFL video, by the way. I'm halfway through it. That's very different. Them type of videos are great. Your Six Nations stuff coming out this week?
Yeah. There's something hopefully early next week. There's 2 things hopefully early next week on, I guess, challenges teams are trying to solve in the Six Nations coming up.
Wales is being shit. We've got these. What is this I've got in me?
I got halfway through writing one on Wales and changed my mind to write one on Ireland because I hate them apparently. But that's a whole other thing for another day. Right,
but brilliant. Can't wait for them. We have not got a game now until the 18th of February. It is Ulster at home, where there will be the Lance Bradley Q&A. So anything, the news that we get that near the time, we will post on the socials. Please leave us feedback. Lance is very keen to get back on the pod, especially when more and more stuff comes out. We appreciate that. Maybe not everyone's questions are answered because he simply can't answer them. He's been in the job literally 2 weeks. But we're really keen. We'll definitely try and catch up with him when we're back down the stadium. We play Sale in the last 16. I feel like we glossed over this. It's a very winnable game.
Tough one,
the
but
momentum
winnable.
It's tough, but winnable. And looking at maybe if we were looking to more solidify a win, Connacht would have been the better draw or Bayonne. But Exeter decided to be shit. So yeah, still a winnable game. Looking forward to that. We'll talk more about that in sort of the fallow weeks. We haven't decided if we're going to do pods during the Six Nations. It's a busy time for all of us, and there's just not much to talk about. But actually, we might do good player for an hour. So if that's something that we decide to do, we'll let you guys know. But if we don't, have a beautiful Six Nations. It is the best time of the year, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time to preview the Ospreys v Ulster game. Thank you all.
Max Nagy would go around buying Xbox One games in great quantity, but hasn't upgraded to an Xbox Series X yet.
Oh, good. Right,
He's
stop.
He's a follower of the pod as well, so he might actually pick that.
Goodbye, everyone.
If you can film that for us, that'd be superb.